Well, continuing our ongoing series about how Canada is cooked, the mayor of Richmond, British Columbia, sent out a letter telling thousands of people to, hey, be prepared to vacate their homes because the natives will soon own them. Yeah, you don't own your own home anymore. You need to turn them over to the native population. This is what happens in a liberal country that's collapsing before our eyes. Our next guest says private property means absolutely nothing in Canada any longer, just as free speech is now an endangered species in Canada. David Clayton, independent journalist from Ottawa, Canada, joins us now. He also has a great YouTube channel, and follow him on X, Creighton's Right, as well. David, great to see you. We're going to get to also some big developments on the ostrich farm story as well in British Columbia. But first, on this idea of home ownership, talk about what is happening. And a lot of Canadian homeowners right now are kind of panicking.
They should be, Clayton. And I've been talking about this for years because Canada has become a race-based society, and where there are castes. This very thing that Mahatma Gandhi fought against in India has become the norm for Canada. We have at least a 2 or 3 or 4 caste system in Canada. At the very top are Indigenous peoples who think they can basically claim your backyard if their ancestors occupied it at some time in the last 500 years. That's what it's come down to. This is all based on a decision by the Supreme Court of British Columbia that said the Cowichan Band, which is essentially in the lower mainland of Vancouver today, can take over vast tracts of land in Richmond, BC. And you say, where is Richmond, BC? Well, it's Outer Lane on the west part of Vancouver. This is the richest part of Vancouver. It's very close to the ocean. And vast tracts of land have basically been ceded by the Supreme Court of BC to this band because, their ancestors occupied it 150, 160, 200 years ago. So therefore, they have a right to it today. So this mayor, people are looking at this and saying, what kind of an idiot is. He's actually being quite truthful. He's saying, wake up, people, the natives own your land. This is what the BC Supreme Court has said. Now, the province of British Columbia has appealed this decision to the Supreme Court of Canada. And how do you think they're going to rule on this? It's a woke Supreme Court, largely appointed by liberals, and they will say, sounds good to me, as long as it's not my backyard. And that's where we're coming. As soon as this goes to the Supreme Court, no tract of land in Canada will be safe from being subsumed or taken over by an Aboriginal First Nations group that says, hey, my ancestors sat there at one time. It's mine now. I don't care if you paid taxes on that property for the last 40 years.
David, do they have to show some sort of a title? I mean, you could literally have tribes. So the Cowichan tribe, I mean, do they have like any sort of title to the land that they can show that this tract my ancestors owned? I mean, in the United States, this was used literally, and even George Washington allowed people to show title to their land and prove that they actually had title to their land. Are there any titles out there, or there's just like, my grandfather, that was his house? How do you know?
Yes and no, but all of these titles were overruled when the reserve system came in place. And all of these titles were at one time absolved. And now we're literally putting the clock back to 1850, where suddenly everything is new again. So if you have any claim at all to that parcel of land, if your ancestors had any connection with it, suddenly maybe it's yours now. But the chaos here is incredible because there's not a single nation on the face of the earth that can't say at one time somebody else claimed that land, that said it was mine, or they had a deed or entitlement to it. We have to live in the present, not the past. And Canada likes to consider itself a polite nation of government-serving people. We are one of the most racist nations on the earth because we say if you're a First Nations person, you have special status in this country and you can basically get what you want and you can take what you want because of your ethnicity and your race. I have spent my whole career saying Canada should be a nation of equality under the law. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what your race is. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. We should all be equal. And let's get on with life instead of going back to struggles and conquests and wars that go back 150, 200 years. And stop pretending that we have a two-tiered justice system, even though we do. We need to eradicate that and get back to a Canada that believes in equality under the law. That's what I've fought for my entire life. But this, it's interesting because this story perfectly is in simpatico with the other issue right now we're facing with this Universal Ostrich Farms, which is being denied its property rights. People in Richmond are being denied their property rights because of so-called Aboriginal entitlement, which really should not be worth the page it's printed on, because it should not be legal. It should not be legal under the law. We should be equal under the law, but this country no longer exists as a country. And what kills me, Clayton, every time you go to a Rotary Club meeting, you go to a local municipal government meeting, or you go to a committee meeting at the House of Commons, which I routinely have gone to over the years. Before the meeting begins, they do what is called a land acknowledgement. And they say, this meeting is occurring on the unceded lands of this particular First Nations band or tribe. And I always say, what the hell does that mean? So Canada is
like all this Canadian guilt. Like you can't even go to a Tim Hortons to get some donut holes or whatever the hell they call them. And oh my God, this Tim Hortons is built on the ancestral burial ground of the Choctaw tribe, and you can't even enjoy your goddamn
but also,
donut
it
holes.
admits an ignorance about the truth of North American tribes, that they were, that they continuously displaced one another.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, this is the homestead for one place. I mean, that's ignorance.
The Cherokees at war with, there's no one area that like this specific spot. We're warring constantly. And who was here before the Native Americans, by the way? Like, God.
Well, that's what I have to laugh at, Clayton and Natali, because the law firm that's representing the Cowichan First Nations band admits that in their letter. They say that this is land that was contested and basically occupied by the Cowichan tribe through war and intimidation. And I'm saying, well, what the hell do you think the British Empire did? It was the same process, except they were the last people to do it. But the native tribes, which numbered perhaps less than 1 million people when the Europeans arrived in the New World, in North America, they now think that they own the whole continent, even though it's irrational and ridiculous. History's moved on, but literally people could lose their homes and their backyard because Canada is so woke that the King Charles, when he was here for the opening of Parliament last May, his speech from the throne, before he even got into the particulars of what Mark Carney was going to do to Canada, he said, I'd like to remind you that we are sitting on the unceded lands of, and I thought, this is the ultimate irony. The constitutional monarch of Great Britain and Canada, basically the head of state, says, I don't own, Canada doesn't own its own land. It's sitting on somebody else's unceded territories. And we've been repeating this lie now for decades in Canada. And now this is where the chickens come to roost. People are literally going to lose their land because they've been saying it for years. Oh, it's unceded. They didn't lose this land. I don't own this land. The natives do. Unfortunately, Now they might just own a lot of land, and a lot of people are going to be dispossessed. And it won't end in British Columbia. In Richmond, it's going to go spread across the country if the Supreme Court upholds this ruling. And I'm predicting they will, because this is a very woke Supreme Court.
Now, I want to ask you about.
Go ahead. I was going to say there's probably going to be a lot of casinos now. There are going to be a lot of these native casinos and riverfront property in British Columbia. Go ahead.
I want to ask you about your ability to say this. I don't know if you saw our segment yesterday with John Carpay about C8, the Cybersecurity Act that's trying to be pushed through by Christmas. The Canadian government doesn't like the things that you are saying to us right now. If this bill passes, they would be able to kick you off the internet. Go to your ISP and say, we don't like David Creighton's work. He says all the things we don't like. This could happen. We might have to correspond with you by pigeon to get you on Redacted. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, John Carpay is a great guy. I have him on my show quite a bit. He is a fantastic fighter for freedom, but he's exactly right. If these bills pass, and we've got 3 in front of Parliament, we've got another coming, which is the reinvented Online Harms Act, which everybody knows as the thought crimes bill. That's coming up. And Sean Fraser, the Attorney General, has said, I'm going to introduce that in the fall. So it's coming up in the next couple of weeks. If these bills pass, there will be no free speech in Canada. We will all be shut down. And I'm sure you've seen that incredible video from the UK, which has lost its free speech, by the way. There's no free speech in Britain anymore, where they've got a cop at some poor woman's door at 2:20 in the morning. And he says, saw what you posted on the internet. Can you take it down, please? And she's got the moxie. She's got the guts to tell this cop, why? Are you going to charge me for it? And he says, well, I don't think so. I don't think it crosses the line, but we'd like you to take it down. And she basically tells him to go pound sand. Come back when you're prepared to charge me. And I'm sure he probably did. But that's where Canada is headed. We're going to have cops at the door saying, I don't like what you posted about that. I don't like what you said in Redacted yesterday. That goes against the government narrative. Mark Carney might not like that. And
I bet.
Natali, that's where we're going.
Yeah.
Better get
Enjoy
cameras.
your internet. Well, you got it.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Canadians are just going to have to start wearing body cameras all the time just so they can catalog this stuff. It's tyranny in action right now. Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. There is a war happening right now, and it's not where you think it's happening. It's actually happening right now inside of our bodies, in our gut. That's right. A battle between good and bad bacteria can determine your health. Kimchi 1 from Brightcore Nutrition is the fermented superfood that your body needs to arm the good guys with the right weapons to defeat the bad actors once and for all. All health starts in the gut. So putting the right fermented superfood in your gut improves every aspect of your health. Your heart, your brain, even the quality of your skin and the growth of your hair all comes from your gut. It contains over 900 strains of beneficial bacteria in each capsule. Kimchi 1 supports healthy digestion. It fortifies your immune system, helps detoxify your body. Kimchi 1 is all natural, non-GMO, dairy-free, gluten-free, and 100% made in the United States. Today, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link below or just using the code REDACTED for 25% off your entire order. Or even better than that is to call our friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off. Yeah, if you just get on the phone and give them a call, you'll get 50% off your entire order plus free shipping. So give them a call right now, 888-404-6312, and tell them Redacted sent you. Tyranny in action right now with the ostrich farm. David, before we let you go, I want to get an update on this and some big new developments at this ostrich farm. Blake Roberts, who you've interviewed, he was tearful when he was on your show, really in tears about what the government is doing there. So can you walk us through this video here? So he filmed this video and it shows these these dumpsters and the RCMP outside, I believe, of the ostrich farm. And we'll just let this video play and you can tell us what we're seeing here.
What's happening here is that, and this is from October 1st. And I talked to people at the farm today, and I said, why did you wait 3 weeks to get this video out? I mean, you should have put this video out a long time ago, because this demonstrates the collusion between the CFI, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and the RCMP. They're working closely together. Why are these people producing so much garbage every day? And there are trucks like this going out of the farm every day. How in the hell do you produce that much garbage? Unless perhaps you're killing an ostrich or two every day, or perhaps more. Now, we have no concrete evidence that they are killing ostriches. We've heard reports of dart guns going off. They are not allowing anybody to count the ostriches. And ironically, there was a First Nations group that the government of Canada says they love so much, but they were not allowed to count the number of ostriches. But what's happening here is the RCMP is literally unloading a dumpster from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and doing it in a very unsafe manner. And this sort of crap is going on every day. And my first question is, why is the RCMP suddenly dumping trash? This is supposed to be Canada's finest police agency, Canada's national police agency, but they're dumping the garbage the CFIA is creating on the farm. And here's the kicker. They dump it here, and this is a site they have occupied, like they've occupied the farm and the adjacent farm. Then they move the garbage to a local business. Then they move the garbage. I know, it's incredible. Blake told me the whole story yesterday, because he followed this group from where they are here to the next location. They transfer the trash here. Then they bring it to a local business, and then the local business brings it to a landfill site. This is a gravel pit that the RCMP have taken over. Like Edgewood, BC, where this farm is created, is literally like a little police state in Canada. Nobody has any rights. And I said, why aren't people following the RCMP? Why aren't people following these trucks to these landfill sites and finding out what's in there? And they said, well, people are getting arrested for following the RCMP. I said, on what charge? Following too closely? Nobody gets arrested
following a garbage
that.
truck. I mean, yeah, the RCMP is now in the business of taking out the trash. Like they don't have anything better to do in Canada, for crying out loud. But I guess I should ask.
It's incredible.
You mentioned that the farmers like Katie Pizitny and those others, they're not they're not being allowed to go in and count the number of ostriches. Like they're being kept back. So presumably they can come in here and kill these ostriches, dump them in these dumpsters, and Katie and the other farmers are not able to even go count up the number of ostriches anymore?
They have moved every last ostrich away from this blue fence perimeter that they have in place. They have what the farm is calling sort of a death den, because it's a hay bill enclosed area where they're trying to get the ostriches acclimatized to. They bring them there every day. But what's happening at night? And this is why I'm saying maybe I should get the hell out there and find out, because nobody out there is using night vision goggles, night vision photography to find out what's going on there at night, because I believe they are, as in their own euphemism, depopulating the herd in advance of getting a decision from the Supreme Court of Canada. And it's horrendous what's going on here, because this farm has been put through every conceivable device from this carny Marxist government, and they continue to suffer every day with crap like this that's going on. And what is going on with the RCMP? And here's, you talk about moving trash from one area to another, to a third place. The trash that's moved from this gravel pit, we just saw, this is a gravel pit about 5-10 miles away from the ostrich farm. Then they move it to another location, and the trash receives a police escort to go to the next location. And when I talked to, and Blake revealed this to me yesterday, Blake Roberts, and I said, I've never heard of garbage or a garbage truck getting a police escort. And this is absolutely, something is going on here. I got an email last night from a guy who watches my show every day, and he said, this is incredible. These people are getting away with this. And it's just like we're getting snippets of news. We're getting a little bit of information at a time, and they're laughing at us. This deep state terrorist criminal organization, as you first called it, and I have to agree, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency has become a paramilitary force to terrorize Canadian farmers. And believe me, if we have a law in Canada to outlaw free speech on the internet, that will be the first thing to go, because this is exactly what the CFIA has become in Canada. It is a horrible organization that exists not to protect the health of Canadians, or certainly not the health of animals. It exists only to massacre and slaughter large numbers of chickens, perhaps ostriches, and everything else in their way, because they are not following the orders of Canada. Even the Canadian government, they're following the orders of the World Health Organization, and then they're bending those rules. In the end, they're following the rules they make up for themselves. They have their own agenda, and it's absolutely frightening. This has become an organization not just off the rails, not just rogue, but incredibly evil.
Yeah, they are a terrorist organization, to be sure. And you're right. I mean, and when you have the state-run media, which of course is not going to cover this story, the only voices are like yours, independent media like ours, are trying to get the message out about this story. But of course, if they're moved to eliminate free speech in Canada, then those voices will be silenced as well. It's all about total control. That's exactly what's happening in Canada, a country that's, by all accounts, too far gone at this point. We hope that it can be turned around. I don't know. David, great to see you as always. Thank you for these updates. We'll continue to watch Canada because we care about the Canadian people. We just can't stand their government. Thank you, David. Great to see you as always.
Thank you, Clayton and Natali. Always a pleasure.